Long before dinosaurs disappeared, long before humans built cities or civilizations, a gigantic snake silently ruled the tropical forests of ancient India. Its body stretched longer than a city bus. Its muscles were powerful enough to crush enormous prey, and for millions of years, it remained buried beneath layers of rock, completely forgotten. Some fossils tell us what an animal looked like. Some fossils tell us how an animal lived. And then some discoveries force us to rethink the ancient world itself. In 2024, scientists studying fossilized vertebrae from a lignite mine in Gujarat came across something extraordinary. These weren't the bones of a dinosaur. They belonged to a snake. But not an ordinary snake. The vertebrae were enormous. When researchers used measurements from the fossils and compared them with living and extinct snakes, they estimated that this animal could have reached somewhere between 10.9 and 15.2 meters in length. Its scientific name is Vasuki Indicus, and there is something especially fascinating about that name. It was chosen in the honor of Vasuki, the legendary serpent of Indian mythology. But the fossil and the mythical serpent are not the same creature. One belongs to the world of ancient Indian tradition. The other belongs to the geological record. And today, we're going to explore the science behind one of India's most extraordinary prehistoric discoveries. The story begins not in a tropical forest, but deep inside the rocks of Kutch, Gujarat. At the Panindro lignite mine, researchers discovered a partial series of fossilized vertebrae preserved in ancient sediments. These rocks date back roughly 47 million years, to the Eocene epoch. The world at that time was dramatically different from the one we know today. India was experiencing a much warmer climate, and the region that is now the dry landscape of Kutch was once home to much wetter environments, including forested swamps. Hidden within these ancient sediments were the remains of a giant snake. Researchers recovered 27 well-preserved vertebrae, and these bones contained important clues. A snake doesn't have legs. So unlike a dinosaur skeleton, its vertebral column becomes one of the most important pieces of evidence for estimating its size. The researchers carefully measured the fossil vertebrae and compared them with measurements from other snakes. The result was astonishing. Their models produced estimates ranging from approximately 10.9 meters to 15.2 meters. But there is an important scientific caution. The fossil does not preserve the entire skeleton. So scientists cannot say with absolute certainty that the snake reached the largest estimate. Instead, they provide a range based on statistical comparisons. And that distinction is important. Because good science isn't about making the biggest claim. It's about understanding what the evidence can, and cannot, tell us. Now comes the fascinating connection between science and Indian culture. The researchers named the new species Vasuki Indicus. The genus name, Vasuki, refers to the famous serpent of Hindu mythology. Vasuki is traditionally described as the king of the Nagas. One of the most famous stories involving Vasuki is the Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean of milk. According to the traditional story, the Devas and Asuras wanted to obtain Amrita, the nectar of immortality. Mount Mandara was used as the churning rod, but a rope was needed. That rope was Vasuki. The enormous serpent was wrapped around the mountain while the opposing sides pulled from either end. The story has been preserved through generations of Indian religious and cultural traditions. But the fossil discovery is something different. Scientists did not discover the mythological Vasuki. They discovered the fossilized remains of a previously unknown prehistoric snake. The name was chosen because of the animal's extraordinary size and its connection to India's cultural heritage. And that makes the discovery particularly fascinating. A scientific name was inspired by a story that had survived for thousands of years. So what would it have been like to encounter Vasuki Indicus 47 million years ago? Another India is waiting. An India that existed millions of years before humans. A world of ancient forests, warm wetlands, primitive mammals, crocodile-like reptiles, and enormous snakes. The discovery of Vasuki Indicus reminds us that India's prehistoric history is much richer than many people realize. Every fossil quarry is a potential time capsule, And every vertebra can reveal information about an animal that disappeared tens of millions of years ago. We have to forget the dry Kutch landscape we see today. During the Eocene, the environment was much warmer and wetter. Researchers interpret the ancient habitat as a forested, swampy environment. And somewhere among those ancient wetlands, a gigantic snake moved through the landscape. But here's an important point. Scientists don't have enough fossil evidence to reconstruct every detail of its behavior. They don't know exactly what its head looked like. They don't know precisely what prey it preferred. And they don't know exactly how fast it could move. But its enormous vertebrae provide important clues about its body. The vertebrae are broad and robust, suggesting a large, cylindrical body. Its sheer size also tells us something about its lifestyle. A snake measuring more than 10 meters would not have been built like a small, fast-moving predator. Instead, researchers suggest that Vasuki was probably a slow-moving ambush predator. It may have remained concealed and waited for prey to come close. Then, the attack would have depended on its enormous muscular body. Think about how modern giant constrictors hunt. A python or anaconda doesn't need to chase its prey across an entire landscape. It can wait. When the opportunity appears, it strikes. The body coils around the prey, and powerful muscles tighten the coils. Researchers suggest that Vasuki may have used a broadly similar strategy. But there is an important difference. This isn't a modern python. Vasuki Indicus belonged to an extinct family of snakes called Madchoiidae. Madchoiids were an ancient group that existed for tens of millions of years. And Vasuki was one of the largest members known from this group. The researchers also interpreted its anatomy as consistent with relatively slow movement. So rather than picturing a giant snake racing through the forest, a more scientifically reasonable picture is something much more unsettling. A massive predator, moving slowly through a warm ancient wetland, waiting, and relying on its enormous body when the opportunity appeared. For years, one prehistoric snake dominated discussions about giant serpents. Its name was Titanoboa. Discovered in Colombia, Titanoboa lived roughly 60 million years ago and is generally estimated at around 13 meters long. Then came Vasuki Indicus. Some estimates for Vasuki reach approximately 15.2 meters. That raises an exciting question. Was Vasuki the largest snake ever? The honest scientific answer is, we don't know. The fossil record is incomplete. Scientists are estimating the total length from vertebrae rather than measuring an entire skeleton. And different mathematical models can produce different results. The researchers themselves caution that these estimates carry uncertainty. So instead of saying definitively that Vasuki was the world's longest snake, it's safer to say, Vasuki Indicus was one of the largest snakes ever discovered, and some estimates place it among, or potentially above, the largest known snakes. And that uncertainty is actually part of what makes paleontology so fascinating. Every new fossil can change the story. This discovery isn't important simply because the snake was enormous. It tells scientists something about the ancient Indian environment. The researchers linked the giant snake's size and biology with the warm climate of the Middle Eocene. Their study estimated temperatures around 27.2 to 28.6 degrees Celsius for the environment associated with Vasuki, although such estimates come with scientific uncertainty. Why does temperature matter? Because snakes are ectothermic animals. Their body temperature is strongly influenced by their surroundings. Warm environments can support higher activity and, over evolutionary timescales, can be associated with larger body sizes in some groups. So Vasuki gives scientists another clue about the climate of ancient India. But there is an even bigger story. The fossils also help researchers investigate how ancient snake lineages moved across continents. The study places Vasuki within the extinct Madchoiidae family and finds relationships with other Madchoid snakes from India and North Africa. The researchers proposed that this lineage may have originated in India and later dispersed toward Africa through southern Eurasia after geological connections developed. So these fossil bones don't simply tell us about one snake. They're helping scientists reconstruct ancient geography. The name Vasuki has survived through India's mythology for generations. Millions of years ago, a very different kind of Vasuki lived on this land. Not a mythical serpent, not a creature from a sacred story, but a real animal that left behind physical evidence of its existence. Its bones survived, while its body disappeared. Its species vanished, but the rocks preserved a clue. And almost 47 million years later, scientists found that clue. That's the extraordinary power of fossils. They allow us to hear echoes from a world that disappeared long before humans arrived. And perhaps somewhere beneath India's soil, there are still other giants waiting to be discovered. Because the story of prehistoric India isn't finished, we're still uncovering it. If you enjoyed this journey into India's prehistoric past, subscribe to Amazing Facts Hub 2.0 for more science documentaries exploring evolution, fossils, wildlife, deep oceans, ancient life, and the incredible history of our planet.